Well, first and foremost, you're midway through the season. 6 games down, 6 more to go. You got to feel pretty good about the position you're in, 5-1.
Well, you know, you're excited to be 5-1. You know, we're still in, you know, the hunt, but it gets tougher and tougher. You know, starting with this week, South Florida, they're playing really well, and so you know, it's exciting though. It's exciting when you're winning, you know, because the games mean more when you play, especially in conference. But we got a tough stretch coming up. And, you know, it starts in South Florida.
We've talked a lot about the positives that have occurred to date. The defense is playing well. You obviously got a quarterback who always makes sure that you're getting in the right place and that type of thing. As you looked at after 6 games, what are some of the things you'd like to improve? Are there any things that you've pinpointed that maybe Navy could do better?
You know, it's everything, Wags. You're always trying to get better at everything. You know, continue to improve on a third down defense. You know, we played really well on defense, but trying to get people off the field, finishing drives on offense. You know, you're always working on our kickoff coverage, our kickoff return, you know, just trying to be sound in our punt coverage and doing better in our punt returns. I mean, just every facet. I mean, it's a great thing about sports, great thing about football. You never arrive. You're just constantly trying to get better. You know, I mean, even when you think you've played your best, you can always play better.
You had mentioned the other day when we talked about the turnover margin, I think Navy is 9th, it says in the stats, in the country. If Strauss can tell us, has Navy ever been that high in turnover margin?
Yeah, and we've, you know, and really we had one game, you know, and the game we lost, you know, we turned the ball over. But we got to continue to do that. You know, we got to do that against South Florida. We got to do that the rest of the year. We can't turn the ball over. For us, it's huge. It's, you know, because we don't get a lot of possessions anyways. By design. You know, most people get 15, 14 possessions. We might get 10 or 11, but so does our opponent. So it's by design to shorten the game. And we can't miss a turn because we give them the ball and they get an extra turn and we lose a turn. It's just devastating for us.
Right. One of the other things I was going to talk to you about was, hold on, make sure I do this right. Special teams. Of the one kid that I'm about to talk to, Mr. Harris over there has done a really good job. Can you talk about him? I mean, he's a kid that may not be playing a lot on the defensive side of the ball, but he's doing really well in special teams.
Well, we've actually, and you know, Coach O'Rourke had kind of mentioned in the offseason, you know, if we can find guys that, you know, that's their role and they'll do it 1,000% and 1,000 miles per hour, can we pick some guys that come and thrive? Ryan Harris was one, David Garduke was one, Kikau Piscaya were the 3 guys, and Ryan Harris has really flourished on a lot of different teams. He's kind of been the, you know, the captain of our special teams, our, you know, our so-called captain. We don't have one, but just by his effort, the way he plays, he holds the standard of special teams for us. And you know, the guys look at him; he's our bell cow for special teams.
You mentioned those guys. Anyone else that sticks out to you that does a good job on special teams? Probably plays on multiple specialty units.
Well, you know, just mention a couple. Garduke.
Piscaya.
Yeah, and Piscaya, you know, they're doing some good things. You know, just off the top of my head, those are the guys I can think about. Just, you know, but Ryan's been doing really, really well.
And the one guy that we haven't talked about this year is Josh Antal, which is a good thing.
It's always a good thing when you're not talking about your snapper. And, you know, to fill the shoes that he had to fill with Joe Cardona, I think he's done a really, really good job.
Has he been a surprise? I mean, he hasn't had one bad snap yet.
No, not a surprise. Just we knew he was a good snapper. It's just the other guy is one of the best in the world. You know what I mean? But we knew Josh was really, really good, and you know, being really proud of him. He's worked really hard at his craft. He's kept his mouth quiet. He just comes to work every day. He's a really good kid, and he's doing really well.
There's been a lot of pro scouts down here throughout the season, more than what we've seen in years past. Here, that the guy they're looking at a lot right now is Swain, Chris Swain. Do you think Chris Swain is that good?
Well, you know, I mean, I'm a college coach. I mean, I think he's a good player. You know, these guys know what they're doing. They come and look at guys. You know, there's other guys, seniors, that they're looking at too. You know, but there's you know, a few guys that they come and look at. But you know, it's good to see them come and take a look at guys. You know, it's good for our program, and you know, it's exciting.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Hi, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Nice to meet you.
Well, just wanted to talk to you about special teams here. They want you over here. Obviously, that you've taken that role on and you've flourished. Kind of tell me, you know, what it takes to have that mindset and you know, to do well.
You know, I just take everything one step at a time. Big thing with special teams is that you need to analyze the play, make sure that you're doing your job, staying in your lane on kickoff, or making sure you make that block on kickoff return. For the most part, just do your job and everything will work out perfectly.
What units are you on?
I'm on all special teams, kickoff, kickoff return, punt return. Yes, sir.
Right, kickoff coverage, kickoff return, punt coverage, punt return.
Yes, sir.
So how much time you really put into making sure that there is a lot that goes into it. I mean, if you're not playing a lot on defense, I imagine you spend a lot of time trying to figure out the best ways to do your job right.
Yes, sir. A lot of film analyzing, especially with South Florida. They got a lot of athletes. So it's going to be a pretty tough opponent, especially on special teams, but I think we can pull it out in the end. So.
You've made a lot of tackles on special teams the last couple of years. What's the key to finding that ball? Because there's somebody trying to hit you hard at full speed. You're running down there, and it's easy to get blown up if you're not paying attention. What's the challenge of getting through that mass of people to find the ball?
Yes, sir. Basically, you got to run down as hard as you can. Always keeping your head on a swivel. You never know where the block's coming from. And the worst is the double team, being able to take at least one of the men and get around them. So there's ways to get around them, but it's usually practice for me.
The great play you made on the Connecticut when you batted the punt back in bounds from the end zone. How good does that feel? Is that one of those plays that's not overlooked? That really changed field position. It backed them up. I mean, those are huge plays. Does that fire you up?
Oh, absolutely. I was really fired up, but I couldn't have done it without Barta and Josh Antal making that happen for me, and also Brendan Clemens downing it inside the one. So that was awesome for me. I'm glad that I had the teammates to be able to pull that off.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ryan. Yep.
Brandon Jones, so what has he done to get on the field?
He's done some great things. Obviously he's been with us the whole time. He did a nice job against ECU, did a nice job against Connecticut. We didn't have him in there against Air Force, being a young guy, trying to learn some of the option stuff in there. And Notre Dame, because of the package they're in, he didn't really see much action there. But he starts on 2 or 3 special teams. I mean, he's a big, tall, physical kid. Him and Josiah are, sometimes you can't even tell which one is which. You know what I mean? They're both 6'3.5", 6'4", 210, 15 pounds. He plays hard. He's a good football player. I mean, him and Josiah right now are the 2 guys that we got, and they're going to really rotate every series. And he hits hard, and he does a nice job in coverage. And it's good when you can have 2 who can do that.
Well, as I say, that hit this week, and I don't remember the exact situation, but he stood somebody up and absolutely drove them to the ground. Was that a running back?
Yes, it was running back, and he did a really nice job because it was cover 4, and he's really out of the box.
Yeah, he came flying up.
Right, and he did a nice job reading the run, and he came from outside in, and kind of filled in the B gap. The running back kind of went front side, and then away from him, and then came back front side, and he was there to meet him, and he did a nice
tackle. Right?
That's it.
Squared up.
That's right. He squared him up, knocked him back, and then really did the same thing a few series later. It wasn't as clean of a hit because the running back was in a little different spot, but he ended up getting in there, fitting in, and bringing him backwards.
So the downside of Brandon Jones going on the depth chart is that Meyer has been falling down. What has happened with Meyer this year? In spring, everybody was singing his praises.
Right. Meyer's still there, and he's still working hard, and he's still a good football player. Football's a crazy sport. At the moment, we're gonna play the best guys, and as you've seen at our position, guys shuffle around all the time. So, Myers, he's one of the leaders in our room. If he's not in there, he's always coaching up, especially young guys like Brandon, who's a sophomore, and even Powell, who's a junior, who's really getting his really first reps this year. So Meyer's one of our leaders in our room. He played a little bit here in this game, and if we need him, I know he can go in there and do a good job.
All right, great. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.